Word Balloon is brought to you by the League of Word Balloon Listeners. Now available to order at your local comic shop, it's Sal Abenanti's new graphic novel, The Hostage.
Hostage is set in the streets of Rio de Janeiro, based on the plight of the street children that live in the favelas. In the world of the graphic novel, being murdered daily, and the hostage is the evil spirit that is raised to avenge their death. Origins go all the way back to the indigenous tribes of the Amazon as the spirits that protect children, especially murdered children. The level of death that these kids have to endure every day. They have nowhere to sleep. They have no place to eat. They have to survive off of begging. There were nobody in capes that were coming to save these kids.
Pick up Sal Abenanti's latest graphic novel, The Hostage. Order now at your local comic shop through Diamond's Previews catalog. Code DEC221534. Welcome back, everybody. It's time again for another Word Balloon Live, the pop culture conversation show. John Suntress here. I'm always happy to welcome the internet pioneer himself, Mr. Skin, back to Word Balloon. Jim, it's good to see you, man. How are you?
Yeah. Hey, John. Thanks so much. You know, I'm promoting right now my top 10 nude scenes of the year 2022. And it's blowing my mind when I'm telling people that this is my 24th top 10 nude scenes of the year. My very first one was in December of '99. Shannon Elizabeth from American Pie was the winner that year. And I just can't believe I've been doing this 24 years. It's crazy. I'm actually at my office in Wicker Park, which is a beautiful office of which used to have 30 plus people here. Now it's just me and my COO who's in the office down there. And it's a huge waste of space and money, but I still love getting out of the house every once.
Honestly, Jim, I'm so glad you started with that because, truthfully, and this is why I always love talking to you. We talk about the girls, we talk about the scenes, but we also talk about your, career as this internet pioneer. And like you say, you've been doing this list since '99. How far back does the website go? Is it 90? It's earlier than '99.
August 10th of 1999.
It was '99. Okay.
At 4:45 p.m., we flipped the switch, and me and my one tech guy launched the website. And here we are, 24 years later, and things have evolved. I mean, what I started with, and what I thought this would be, and what my aspirations were, have completely changed. But it's really incredible. I mean, my website predates Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. It's pretty incredible. Google. I mean, it's pretty incredible.
And I know in previous conversations, and I love this, and when I tell people, hey, I'm talking to Mr. Skin, and they're like, oh yeah, Mr. Skin. They're like, how's he doing?
He's still around?
I'm like, exactly. And I'm like, he's doing great. And you even told me that because of stuff like the movie Knocked Up, like that's a new crop of adolescents. Every time they're made aware of Knocked Up, it's like, wait a minute, Mr. Skin, I got to find that website.
Yeah, I think when I retire from this very difficult job, when I look back on it, Knocked Up will be one of the really cool pop culture references of my website and what I do. But I got to tell you, recently, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, Family Guy mentioned Mr. Skin for the third time. And I got to tell you, there's very few things that I think are cooler than getting a mention on Family Guy. And this is the third time. So it's pretty crazy how much it's ingrained in pop culture. And I get it. Probably not the younger generation because they're not, the type of website I have. If it's not free, they're not interested in it. But, anyone that is a fan of radio, either nationally or in Chicago, probably has at least heard of Mr. Skin somehow, some way.
Absolutely, man. Well, and I know you make the morning radio stops. Have you been on Stern yet? Will you be on Stern coming up?
Listen, I had an amazing run on that show. My first appearance was March 23rd of 2000, and I probably have been, in his studio 20 times and get tons of mentions even now when I'm not there. But he's changed kind of the format of his show. If you notice, he has huge celebrities. I mean, he just did Bruce Springsteen, and
oh yeah, good.
And the type of interview, he's not trying to kill 4 hours a day anymore. And listen, I still love the show. I'm super appreciative of everything that that show meant to me in my career. But it's just my Mr. Skin stuff isn't the direction he's going anymore. Totally cool. So it's been a couple of years since I've been on the show, but
okay.
It's funny. I'll be driving and I'll have Sirius 101 on, and all of a sudden I'll hear myself on from 2016. It's so surreal.
Well, that's cool. I'm glad they still play at least the real ones.
I'm a fan of the show, and then all of a sudden, I'm on it, and I don't even remember what the hell I said, and I'm listening just like anyone else. So cool.
I have that problem too when I hear old air checks for the score and stuff like that. No, honestly, I get it, Jim. But I was going to say, as you said at the beginning, that it's just you and your COO now at the office. So yeah, I mean, obviously, a lot of your workers, they're out finding the clips, they're putting together your amazing highlight reels and stuff, and they can obviously do that remotely. But business as usual. Everybody. I mean, it seems like the site's running well.
Couple things. Number one is I have an incredibly sophisticated tech company. Not only my tech guys, but even our writers, our content people, our HR people, they're all very savvy technically. And that was made the transition to working from home when COVID hit. I was a little nervous at first, like any owner of a business, but we just killed it. And we're so locked in with, I'm looking at Slack right here. I have access to my whole company.
Yeah.
Zoom, my president of my company lives in Colorado. My CFO lives in Omaha, Nebraska. They moved out of Chicago because there was no need to be at the office. And also for our employees, we have about probably 45 maybe. A lot of them, they love working from home. And with our company, they work hard. It's just they get to do it from home. Plus my developers, we have developers I have a developer who's in Ukraine. I have a developer who's from Russia.
Wow.
He got out of Russia, though. He's in another country, so he didn't have to go to that stupid war. I have developers from Brazil, all over the place, and they all communicate very easily via the internet, via the Slack channels, and it's pretty cool. But the sophistication of my team is a big deal, and plus we've grown way more than just MrSkin.com. We do a lot of managing other websites. We're very sophisticated when it comes to affiliate relations, mail, how to set up your servers, tech, billing, credit cards, you name it, we're good at it. And we've made a nice side business of helping other companies run that aspect of their business.
That's excellent, man. And again, now this list that we're going to go through right now, everyone should know that, am I right? We want people to join MrSkin.com, obviously get a subscription, but you can see it for free, right? You can see
this list is totally free. If you just want to stop by MrSkin.com, it's right on the front page. You don't have to be a member to see the list, but obviously if anyone wants to be a member or use their member while they're being a member, you're more than welcome to it. So
here, before we get started, I think this elf, if you look at his hands closely, might be a member.
Yeah, that should be a Mr. Skin Elf. Thank you.
Well, I'm going to start with the honorable mention, and that's Kelly Riley from Yellowstone.
Yeah,
and she continues to be very sultry and surprising and stuff. They just started their new season, of course.
yeah. I want to say that she's not honorable mention because the nude scene wasn't top 10 material. She's honorable mention because there was a weird discrepancy. She did an amazing topless scene on December 21st of 2021, which means that it really technically wasn't eligible for our list because this has to be something that happened in 2022. But in some countries, it aired for the first time after that, and so it could have gone either way. I kind of kept with the hey, it's got to be in 2022. So she's honorable mention, but not because she was the 11th best nude scene. So you could enjoy it. And I know so many people are fans of Yellowstone, and it's funny that scene of her topless. If you watched it on television, I don't even know where most people watch it, first rate, but that scene did not show up right away nude. It happened a few days later where we were able to find it in other countries, which was weird. But the bottom line is it happened, but there was a technicality on the date it aired, and that's why she's an honorable mention.
Okay, fair enough. And there are some comeback people here. So is December 31st then? That's the cutoff for next year?
Yeah, it's a well, here's the thing. For my website, my top 10 lists usually end around this, December 10th, because I can't wait till December 31st because next thing you know, no radio shows are on the air between
that's true.
The 15th to the end of the year. So I always get on my promo like December 4th. So technically, yes, occasionally nudity happens after I do the list, but we'll catch it in next year's top 10 list. So.
No, I understand. And that's funny, Skin, because being from radio and stuff, you're right. Radio shuts down, especially right before Christmas, right through the end of the year, because the ratings don't happen. So that's when a lot of the top radio stars will take their vacations and stuff. I was never a top radio star.
It's funny.
So I was always filling in,
Yeah, no, I get it. And it's funny because I get some criticism sometime from people like that. Lady Chatterley just came out and it's not in our top 10, but
I didn't know that. What channel is Lady Chatterley on? Do you know?
Well, it's
or is it a movie?
No, it's a remake of remember the famous Lady Chatterley's Lover from the early 80s,
Well, of course. Now, there's the straight up adaptation of the literary Lady Chatterley, and then of course Richard Belzer's wife, as we well know, did Young Lady Chatterley.
Harley McBride, which I'll never forget her. She's awesome, yeah. And anyway, this is a movie remake of that, and it came out on about a week ago. And but my point is that I go on the radio to promote this stuff, and if I wait until December 31st to make a list, I'm doing it to no one because no one's on the air,
No, I realize, and I was thinking, obviously for 2023, but I guess no, you're right, because you are doing this count this year. Yeah. All these entries are from 2022.
This year it is, but any great nude scenes at the end of the year might be on my list next year. We'll see. But anyway, the point is, do people really care? It's the 10 greatest nude scenes up till 2 weeks.
You make the list.
Yeah, exactly.
All good, man. Absolutely. Well, Dowd is from New York, and he says he remembers you back in the Stern days, back when I guess the show was emanating from West 57th Street.
Oh, wow.
That's funny. He's a New York guy, and he's a big word balloon fan. All right, let's get started. Number 10, and of course she was on the list last year, and she's done nothing but impress us with both her loveliness and her acting as well as Sydney.
Yeah, the last couple of years she's been very high on my list from Euphoria, and she did a movie called Voyeurs. But it's Sydney Sweeney from the very controversial show Euphoria on HBO, and she only came in at number 10 this year because it's not a frontal shot; it's her laying on her stomach, nude with her overhead. She's on a bearskin rug, but it's it's Sydney Sweeney. She's famous from Euphoria. She has an incredible social media following. Anything she does is nude is worthy. And this is a prime example, but it's number 10 on our list of the best nude scenes of the year.
No, and it's amazing. I'm going to come back to HBO. It's not on your list, but we'll talk a little bit afterwards. Number 9, Brittany Snow, famous from what's the
Pitch Perfect.
Pitch Perfect, yeah.
Pitch Perfect is what people know her from, and it's kind of cool because it's kind of a very sweet, innocent, Pitch Perfect, musical comedy. And then she does this movie X, which is this scene is number 9 on our list, and it's with this rapper named Kid Cudi, and they go to this Texas Chainsaw Massacre farm to film a porno, and it's just crazy that the girl from Pitch Perfect is in an interracial porn scene that's very graphic, and it just blew my mind. It was also a nude debut to boot. So anyway, Brittany Snow and X is number 9 on our list of the best nude scenes of the year.
That's excellent. I want to throw in, while we're talking about horror movies that have, and certainly eroticism and horror has gone hand in hand for decades. Really, you could even say, hell, going back to, even though no nudity, but certainly even Lugosi and Dracula and the various Dracula movies and everything.
Best genre for nudity is horror, no question about it.
Well, I wanted to mention, because 2 Chicago guys wrote Revealer, which is on Shudder, and it came out this summer. And I saw it on. There's no nudity in it, but essentially it's a horror movie involving a peep show girl, and there she is. In fact, it's Kato Ace.
Chicago guys.
Yeah, Tim Seeley and Mike Morisi, who have written a ton of novels and comics. And Tim wrote a trauma horror movie back in the day. This is his second film.
Kaufman, I know him well.
Yeah, but they came up with Revealer, and Shudder fronted them the money and stuff, and they made the movie.
Good for them. There was some bikini stuff in there, but you're right, it wasn't a nude movie. But I didn't know they were Chicago guys. That's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, they wrote the screenplay. So now everyone is still buzzing, and I guess was it the last episode of The White Lotus on Sunday?
Right. Well, the last episode of The White Lotus aired, and I know a lot of people are still trying to catch up, but I did want to mention number 8 on my list is from White Lotus, and it's the greatest name at my website of all the 35,000 actresses. This is my favorite name. Her name is, she's an Italian actress. This is her real name. I'm not making it up. Simona Tabasco. And, she had sex with Adam DeMarco in the 5th episode. I think it's 7 total episodes in this season. But if you don't know, she plays the prostitute, who was the main prostitute when they started with the short dark hair. Anyway, what's interesting about that White Lotus is not only is it very popular, it won a bunch of Emmys in the first season. This is the 2nd season set in Sicily. But I gotta say, I think there was more nude dudes than actresses in White Lotus this season. I was amazed at the graphic full frontal nudity in White Lotus from men. But I don't want to discourage people. The female nudity was fantastic too. So including this scene, which is number 8 of the best nude scenes of the year.
And am I right? You have a male nudity version of Mr. Skin available as
well.
Right?
This Mr. Man, it's called, and we actually did a top 10 nude scenes. Unfortunately, I wasn't involved in that, but we have a crack staff that was all over that. And there's some famous men that did nudity. And I'll tell you what, there was so much junk in television shows this year that it was hard to narrow even the male nudity down to 10 best ones. So,
well, this is why I love talking to you, Skin, because truly we talk about the trends in TV and film, and HBO. It doesn't surprise me with White Lotus because they had that half-hour anthology comedy about the pot delivery guy in New York, and I can't remember the name of the show. But that show had a lot of crank in it, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. And I'm like, hey, that's good, man. Equal opportunity.
It's funny, when I started 24 years ago, male nudity was rare, and what was even rarer was full frontal male nudity. So it's just, listen, there's so many places now, so many different platforms, so many different shows, so many different opportunities for females and males to do nude scenes. And listen, there's plenty of women and gay men that want to watch this, and it's very lucrative. So good for them. I never, of course, I prefer the female nudity, but I'm totally fine with male nudity too.
I'm with you, man. No, and it is so interesting that now the swing is more towards if you'll pardon the expression.
No pun intended.
I should be writing for you, Skin, in your various commentaries, absolutely. But really, that now it happens more on streaming TV,
yes,
and as opposed to film, and that continues to fascinate me.
Yeah.
That's where we are, and I suppose maybe in the comfort of your own home, it's easier, and also just the trend in general, in terms of the COVID, just push things along that much further. That theaters were already losing attendance, and COVID just accelerated things.
We all watched so much television on Netflix and all that. Like we all were pretty sophisticated when it came to all the different television shows, because you had nothing else to do, right?
Yeah, and I really think if you're not doing a spectacle along the lines of Marvel or DC or Star Wars or one of the big franchises like that, everyone's home theater systems are only getting better. Their sound systems are getting better. Yeah. So, Fletch, the John Hamm Fletch movie came out this summer.
Oh, yeah.
Like, maybe I'll see it in the theater.
What do you think of it?
I liked it enough. I'm glad I didn't spend $15 to see it on the big screen. I saw it on Showtime. And that's the thing, I think, and I'm sure you feel the same way. The studios are figuring out what will entice people to go to the theaters. And it's not easy, because again, from the comfort of your home, and also the availability and the speed that stuff moves to the streamers. I know Black Adam is, I think, dropping this week on HBO Max, and hell, it just opened in November and everything. I mean,
there's a quick turnaround, right? Yeah.
So, let me see if we have a here. Doubt says, I find full frontal nudity, male nudity, seems to be more prevalent on paid TV. Oh, that's interesting, since the Watchmen film and TV series. Well, I remember that was 2009, the movie. And yeah, we did get a little Dr. Manhattan crank on the HBO TV show as well. That's true.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the reason, but yeah, it's just, my feeling is just that there's just so many. Remember, like when we were growing up, you had ABC, NBC, and CBS,
right?
PBS, and that was it. Then cable came, and then you had HBO and Cinemax and Showtime. So they started to have some television, but not a ton. But man, over the last 10 years, it's just exploded, and there's just so many more places for actors and actresses to do nude scenes.
I don't know. And again, I always love bringing up classic skin subjects. And I don't know if you saw this in the last couple of years, Valerie Perrine's documentary, which is just incredible.
I didn't watch it, but I really am a fan of hers. I remember that movie Lenny, when I loved her in Lenny, but
yeah.
And she, by the way, did a great nude scene. But Slaughterhouse-Five, based on the famous book, is probably my favorite Valerie Perrine. But I was always a big fan of hers, and I did not see the documentary, but I'd love to check it out.
It's really incredible. The poor thing, it's heartbreaking. She's got not ALS, but something similar that really is debilitating, but is really a good sport, is very active on social media still. And I had a chance to talk to the director of the doc, and it was cool. And we mentioned the era that we grew up in, and the three networks, and then if you were lucky, PBS and a couple UHF channels. She did a nude scene on PBS in the early 70s in Steamback.
Yeah, that, I got to tell you, that's a legendary nude scene, because it aired at the 70s, and that it was on PBS, and Bill Bixby was in that, and
That's right.
Yeah, it's a memorable nude scene. It's one of the first celebrity TV nude scenes, but it was PBS, so it wasn't ABC, CBS. But right, but then that even happened before the whole I Claudius thing, which was a couple years later. So
Absolutely,
that's like that's one of the legendary nude scenes of all time. Big fan of that.
Oh my God, yeah, I Claudius too, absolutely, man. You see, again, Skin and I are from the same era, so we speak the same language when it comes to this subject. All right, we have a tie for 7. We've got Brandy Evans and we've got Shamika Cotton for their dual scenes in.
I wouldn't call it a tie so much as a great lesbian scene, but it's there's a show called P Valley on the Stars Network, and John, I will let you guess what P stands for, but picture showgirls in the Mississippi Delta, and it's a strip club, and the girls are gorgeous. A lot of African American actresses, but Brandy Evans and Shamika Cotton had this scene in the 4th episode that made number 7 on our list. But it's called P Valley from the Stars Network, and I don't expect you to know all these shows, but at least I could turn you on the great moments in some of these shows. So.
Well, and honestly, I think Stars has really upped its game with its dramatic series. And another one that I know you probably documented for its nude scenes was Heels, the wrestler show.
Yeah, it's I was surprised that did that only do one? How many years?
So far, only one season. Yeah.
I wanted to say I thought they'd do another season.
Me too.
But it was a pretty cool show. But yeah, they're always trying stuff over there. They're Stars. I always give them credit, man. They push the envelope, no question about it.
Very cool. I'm looking up another picture that I'll get to in a moment, but we'll keep going on the list. And that's number 6. Now we've got Margaret Qualley.
Yeah. Now, if you don't know who Margaret Qualley is, first of all, she's Andie MacDowell's daughter. That's number
wow.
1. Number 2, if you're trying to place her in a movie, most of probably your fans know the movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the Quentin Tarantino film. She was the Manson hitchhiker that Brad Pitt picked up.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, she's really pretty. And she's in this movie Stars at Noon. And we chose a scene at the 17-minute mark for our list, but she had 8 full minutes. And if you added up all of her nudity, 8 full minutes of nude screen time, which doesn't sound like a lot to a guy that might watch a porn movie, but in a mainstream film, to be nude on camera for 8 minutes, Andie MacDowell's daughter, that's pretty cool. And that came in at number 6 on the best nude scenes of the year, but big fan of hers. And I thought she was so sexy as that Manson girl in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Totally. No, and I had no idea. And again, we're going to get to other Hollywood legacy actors and stuff on this list. So another woman that's made such a splash in everything she's done, and that's Anna Taylor-Joy. My God.
Yeah, well, we just mentioned about COVID when we were all locked in our houses, and I remember, my wife and I were plowing through shows, and we stumbled upon this Queen's Gambit, starring Anya Taylor-Joy as this chess prodigy, and I really enjoyed the show. And I didn't know much about her prior to that, but I was like, oh man! And she had done a movie a couple years before called The Witch, but the nudity was a body double. But she wasn't a famous person at the time, but Queen's Gambit turned her into a big, TV star.
Sure.
It was really cool this year when a movie called The Northman, which is a Viking movie starring Alexander Skarsgård, came out. And at the hour and 47-minute mark, he's in a hot spring, nude. She walks in completely naked. And listen, I would have put that could have been my number 1 nude scene of the year, but it was a little too short. In other words, it ended too quickly. Like it was maybe 7 or 8 seconds. And as great as it is, Anya Taylor-Joy completely nude, joining him in the pond, I had to penalize it because it just wasn't like a long nude scene, but it was definitely a sexy, amazing scene. And if you know who I'm talking about from the Queen's Gambit, you'll love that scene.
No, her movies are amazing. I forget the time travel, or not time. It was kind of a time travel-y thing that she made that was really great. The British movie that she made at the time. Of course, now Princess.
I love her. I'm a big Peaky Blinders guy, and she was in Peaky Blinders. She's just been in a lot of stuff, and I'm just a big fan now.
And Jeremy points out that Margaret was in The Leftovers as well.
That's right. Good point. She was the daughter. Oh yeah, wasn't she a daughter in that? Right?
I think so. Again, these shows come and go, and really, it's hard to keep up, let alone remember them sometimes. So, yeah. And again, that's why MrSkin.com is there for you to remember all the good parts. Absolutely.
Yes.
So number 4, we've got Maya Mitchell, lovely woman.
Yeah, she it was funny because it's always weird when former Disney stars grow up and then do nude scenes. So there was a show called The Fosters, which she was in when she was a kid, and then she was in, I think they did a spin-off called like Good Trouble or something.
That's it, Good Trouble.
So she's in those shows, right? Then she grows up, and in this No Way Out, it's like a Basic Instinct type of movie. Came out in August, but Maya Mitchell she's number 1, she's gorgeous. Number 2, the scene goes on for quite some time. And it was our 4th best nude scene of the year from No Way Out. But again, it's that thing like when Anne Hathaway was in Princess Diaries, and then all of a sudden she is in a movie called Havoc, where she's naked and having sex with East LA gangbangers. And it was like, okay, you've changed your image. Yeah, exactly. So this is might be the same for Maya Mitchell after this. So we'll see.
And also both of our favorites from True Detective and the Percy
Alexandra.
Yeah, Alexandra Daddario. Absolutely, man. Am I saying it right? Is that how you say her last name?
Alexandra, as I like to call her, Alexandra Double Daddario. Yes.
But another one that was in her movies.
Like when I started the website, Jennifer Connelly was my Alexandra Daddario, but my 20 years later, Alexandra Daddario is remember Career Opportunities and
on the horse. Come on, man. In the tank top. Good Lord. And hey, God bless Jennifer Connelly. Still a lovely woman. Absolutely, man.
But Alexandra Daddario is my new Jennifer Connelly.
I respect. Again, Skin, this is why I love talking to you, man, because it's like, you remember that movie? Sure, I do. In fact,
we're of the same ilk.
Yes, we are. Yes. Well, we're red-blooded guys that were, happy adolescents enjoying that era of TNA 80s and stuff. So no, of course, man. Very funny. Absolutely. Now back to Hollywood legacies. And I don't know who, I know who Grandpa was. I don't know who's her daddy. And that's Grace Van Patten.
Well, yeah, this is you'll enjoy this trip down memory lane here. So Grace Van Patten is on a Hulu show called Tell Me Lies. And this nude scene from that came in at number 3. And it's a cool premise. It's kind of got a nice cult following. She plays a college freshman, and she falls hard for this handsome and popular guy, Jackson White's his name. And the series is going to be about their 8-year affair, yet there's incredible ups and downs and whatever. But in the 9th episode, they have a sex scene, which is so freaking hot. It made number 3 on our list. But you'll like this. 2 things. Number 1, she's Dick Van Patten's niece.
Oh, excuse me. I thought she might have been a granddaughter, but all right.
No, but even cooler, if you remember The White Shadow, Ken Howard. Yeah. Salami.
That was
that's her dad. So how cool is that?
So is that Vince Van Patten?
Tim.
That's Tim. Tim, who after his acting career, White Shadow, everybody, great show about high school basketball. very of its time.
Yeah.
And it was an inner city high school basketball team. Ken Howard is a former Chicago Bull that becomes this high school basketball coach. And Tim Van Patten, after he was acting and played salami on that, he also went on to direct and was one of the main directors for The Sopranos.
Yes, yes. He's had a great career, but I just find it fascinating. When I saw that name, I was like, wait a second, she has to be. And I did a little research, and that was it. So
that's great.
Yeah.
No, that's really cool. And again, Hulu, boom. So now we got Hulu on there and stuff.
Yeah,
now, is this the right Ashley Greene?
Yes.
Number 2.
She was Ashley Greene is probably best known for being Robert Pattinson's sister in all those Twilight movies, and she's number 2 on our list. She did a movie called The Immaculate Room, and Emile Hirsch and Kate Bosworth play this couple who are trying to win $5 million in a reality show. All they have to do is stay in this immaculate room for I can't remember, it was like 50 days or something. But they just screw with them by, like, Ashley Greene walks in completely naked in great lighting and is just trying to make Kate Bosworth super jealous and say that, I don't want to ruin the movie, but basically to screw with them so that, they're doing everything they can to get them to bail. And the scene's awesome. She's gorgeous, goes on for quite some time, and she's completely naked. And you look at her, I mean, how bad can that scene be, right?
Absolutely, man. And Emile Hirsch, that's the kid from The Girl Next Door.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, that good reference. Good Kate Bosworth reference. Yeah.
But I feel like it's Casey Kasem. We're counting him down, the top 10 nude scenes of 2022. And before we get to number 1,
long distance dedication.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I was going to mention, because I noticed on the site, and I don't have a picture ready, but you paid tribute to oh god, now I'm blanking. Mischief. Kelly Preston.
Oh, Kelly Preston. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was really nice, man. That was a nice supercut of some of her great scenes, and of course, my God, I always enjoyed her and everything she did, whether she had her clothes on or not. And a real loss when she died.
Oh God! One time we did a bracketology thing, and we had thousands of people vote, and we did like the 70s best 70s nude scenes. There was an 80s bracket, a 90s bracket, and a 2000s bracket, and you'd vote, like they'd square off, we'd rank them and stuff. Kelly Preston and Mischief, a movie she did in the 80s where she got fully nude, won even over Phoebe Cates in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. So the people spoke, and they're big fans, and she's still very popular at our website. But it was sad, but I mean, she did some amazing nudity in her career.
And was funny. I mean, granted, you've got clips from her and Jerry Maguire, of course. Yeah. She's funny in Jerry Maguire. I mean, that's the thing. She was always a really good actor, as well as being a lovely thing to look at. So, yeah, no question. All right, it's time for number 1. It doesn't surprise me. We know her normally as a brunette, and that's Ana de Armas.
Yeah,
Sir from No Time to Die from last year. But this year, it's all about her playing Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah, it's a much anticipated film this year was Blonde, which one of the reasons is early on the rumor was this is going to be an NC-17 movie. In mainstream films, that's like just doesn't happen. I mean, the last one I could think of was Blue is the Warmest Color from 2013, and which, by the way, is the greatest lesbian scene in the history of movies. But Ana de Armas in Blonde, the nudity, fantastic, was our number 1 nude scene of the year. But I really think the NC-17 rating was more for some kind of rough scenes that maybe didn't involve nudity so much. But anyway, this was not a happy movie about Marilyn Monroe.
No.
The nudity made me happy, but it wasn't like a feel-good holiday movie. Let's put it that way.
No, it evoked kind of that vibe of the 70s where movies would get cruel, and it really did kind of focus on a lot of the harassment that Marilyn suffered. And so really, if you were looking for a movie just to get your jollies off and stuff like that. No, you're in for a rude awakening because it was a tough movie. And yeah, I'm actually as much as I always appreciate. I mean, she was Roberto Duran's wife in Hands of Stone a few years ago.
Oh,
And being the boxing guy that I am, that was the first movie I was aware of her. And anytime she's in a movie, it's like, all right, God, wasn't she Miles Teller's wife in War Dogs?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And remember, have you ever seen Knock? Was it Knock Knock? That movie with Keanu Reeves. That's another one. She's she's already in the Mr. Skin Hall of Fame, because the other thing is she gets naked all the time. Like, this isn't the first time she's done a nude scene. Let's put it
No,
that.
but it would not have been my first choice to play Marilyn, but she really did, in her own way, evoke Monroe in a very
great job. She's
way.
getting Oscar consideration, so we'll see.
Yeah, it does not surprise me at all. Absolutely. I don't know which movie that Dot is saying she was impressed with doing action scenes in The Gray Man. Maybe that was. I'm not sure.
What'd you say?
Doubt, one of our viewers, is saying that she was impressive doing action scenes in The Gray Man. I don't know if that was Anna or one of the previous actors.
She's impressive in everything she does. That.
There you go. Sal wants to know, did Sidney Crawford ever do any nude scenes?
Oh yeah, she did a movie called Fair Game with
Is that Stephen Baldwin?
Was it? I can't remember which, but I'm trying to think. It was like probably Stephen Baldwin. It was in the mid '90s, and she did a really nice nude scene, 2 nice nude scenes in that. She also did a movie in like 2000 called The Simeon Line, which is also very good. But here's the thing about Cindy Crawford. She's done nude modeling that will blow away any nude scene in a movie. So you could track that down, especially in the 80s. She did some wild stuff back when it was a little more normal for a supermodel to get completely nude.
Skin, what's the name of, or what is the term for Hollywood, the on-set lifeguards that make sure that the actor is comfortable with a nude scene if it's sprung on them last minute?
Oh, I know.
Coordinator or whatever.
Yeah, there's a name for it. That make sure everyone's comfortable in the room and it's the nude thing. I'll think of it, but we did a whole documentary and mentioned it, and I can't remember the name. So I'm getting old. So
no worries.
It's something coordinator, like a intimacy coordinator. Or something.
That's right. I believe it is, and I don't know why I always blank on intimacy coordinator, but yes. And I wondered if maybe and I don't know, and maybe you don't know either, if in the modeling world, if there is now an intimacy coordinator that says, wait a minute, we came to do the tank top scene. We didn't come to know that we were going to lose the tank top.
Yeah, my guess is no, because it's just I think modeling and filming a movie, there's just two different animals. But I would hope that the legitimate modeling agencies make sure that they protect the models from some of that stuff. I would hope, but I'm not 100% sure when it comes to modeling.
I'm going to show a picture now because I think it might be a sneak of what we might expect next year, and that's the new HBO show, The Idol, with Lily Rose Depp, Johnny Depp's daughter.
Oh yeah,
and again, you've featured her on Mr. Skin recently, just from what we've seen in the trailer. But isn't it interesting, really, when you think of White Lotus, Euphoria, now The Idol coming up and stuff, and really other shows that we've mentioned today too. HBO not afraid of nudity as far as and pretty graphic nudity at times.
Yeah, and she's not afraid to do nudity. She did a movie in 2021. It wasn't eligible for this list. Called Wolf, where she was nude. It's a weird movie where these people think they're wolves, and it's just weird. It's hard to watch, but the nudity's awesome. But yeah, so we'll see. Maybe I don't have any insider information on upcoming nudity, but that she's definitely done nudity in her past.
Sure. Well, and again, The Idol, if it's not nudity, I mean, I see a lot of titillating scenes based on what she's wearing and
Yeah.
the subject matter as well. So yeah, if everyone's curious, go check out the trailers for The Idol. I think there's already 3 of them.
Is it 3 already? Okay, I've only seen 1, but yeah.
Roberts 100 says, as long as everyone is in agreement on set, I see no problem with having those types of scenes in movies or whatever you're shooting. Society goes back and forth on what they find too far. 100%. And this is why I'm always happy to talk to Mr. Skin about this, because literally when you see what he is covering and what he is showing, and just in general and talking about these and making these lists, it's very interesting to watch the trends, how they go back and forth.
Oh yeah, it's yeah, no question about it. And listen, one of the things I've always been about with my website, and one of the reasons we don't put paparazzi pictures in, or we don't like put stolen cell phone pictures in our website and never have, is we only wanted to focus on nudity where actresses willingly appear. In other words, if, stuff that's in movies and television shows where, I was never comfortable with the whole like stolen cell phone pics and places would post them. We never got into that world, but our big thing has always been to celebrate. Like, we're always happy. We're never like, oh, this nude scene sucks. It's not even, our rule is all nude scenes are great. I don't care if it's Kathy Bates. Somebody out there is happy Kathy Bates did a nude scene. Why should anyone rain on their parade? So that's kind of our philosophy.
I hear you. That was that hot tub scene in
About Schmidt, yeah.
About Schmidt. I couldn't remember the name. The Nicholson movie. Absolutely, man. Yeah. That's so funny. All right, Sal is speaking our language because he's got some retro questions, and I love this. Is there any truth to Larry Flint's rumors of Nancy Reagan stag movies from her early career? Also, Joan Crawford.
Yeah, the Joan Crawford. I've heard about. Nancy Reagan, I don't think is true. I will say I have insider information from 2 people that witnessed it. That because I had my old head writer used to work for Hustler, and he was in the Hustler office when some guy walked in with a Jane Fonda, Ted Turner sex tape that he was trying to sell Larry Flint that was off the charts amazing. And this one of the 2 actually talked about it in a book, so I'm not like out of line on that. I'm not making it up. I'm just reporting on what they say. But the 2 he just asked me about, I mean, I don't, I don't know, but I can confirm the Jane Fonda, Ted Turner, and there was, let's just say that there was some, how do I want to say this? There was some pegging going on there. So yeah, it's pretty wild.
That's very funny, man. That's insane. Dow wants to know any honorable mentions from the Pam and Tommy TV show.
Yeah, we thought about that. The problem is she had prosthetic, like they were trying to make Lily James look like Pam Anderson, which is fine, but they put prosthetic breasts over her breasts. So it was like, and it's just not, if it was her, by the way, she has fantastic breasts. Like, it's not that, they're just not Pam Anderson level,
Yeah, sure. That's a centerfold level torso, so I can appreciate that. That's so funny, man. And I do, and this is another thing that I love about Mr. Skin. You are very quick to go, all right, body double. That's the great, that little side boob. But as far as full frontal,
it was pretty obvious that they had prosthetics over her breasts because she did a movie called The Exception in 2016, and she had a great nude scene, and it's her natural body. Is it Pam Anderson Robo Hooters? No, but I get it. If you're playing Pam Anderson, you got to look at Pam Anderson. It's just the way it goes.
And not to mention Sebastian Stain as Tommy.
Yeah.
Now, was that a real crank or was that a prosthetic crank?
I've heard prosthetic, but don't quote me on that.
Prosthetic Crank, that's my favorite punk band from the 80s. So I
good for a band.
Absolutely. So, Skin, you a couple of years ago, and we've certainly talked about the movie on and off over the years in our conversations, but you did this incredible history of nudity in the movies called Skin.
Yeah.
And last time I checked, it was on Hulu. Is that
Yeah.
still its home, or is it moving?
It's
Or
at Hulu. It's we've had it on there for 2 years now, and it's funny. It's been their number one documentary for the last 2 years, like in views, and I'm really proud of that. I'm not proud of. We should have sold it to them for more money because it's so popular there, but we will be. That's one of those movies. It's like an evergreen type thing where 5 years from now, people will still want to see it because it's about the history of nudity in film, starting all the way back with Thomas Edison and the introduction of motion pictures all the way up to the Me Too movement. So it's doing really well. It's you can find it at Hulu, and I'm pretty sure if you go to Amazon or iTunes or anything, you could find the movie there also.
According to my friend Wayne, who's up in Canada, it's on Tubi in Canada.
It's on what?
Tubi. That's the free streamer with commercials.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't even know that. I got to call my distributor. I didn't even know that. That's very cool.
And Sal wants to know, and actually covered in Skin, if there are any other major early Hollywood stars that had nudity in pre-code films. Immediately, I think of Claudette Colbert's Milk Bath when she was Cleopatra.
Ross, yeah, that's a great one. Probably the best is Hedy Lamarr in Ecstasy, she's a really incredible figure historically, but Hedy Lamarr is completely nude in 1932. And right around after that, all of a sudden the Hays Commission put the kibosh on any more nudity. People don't realize how much there was in those silent movies. Even in the teens, there was nudity in film. But, just like anything else good, the religion ruined it. And next thing you know, we had no nudity until Jane Mansfield in 1963 and Promises, not counting the French and Italian films that would play in art houses in the U.S. But I'm talking about like for U.S. movies, it went from like 1932, shut it down for 30 years until Jane Mansfield and Promises.
It's interesting with right now during the social culture wars, how the religious right has flexed its muscles and certainly has in the abortion arena. But it is surprising the amount of streaming that's going on TV. And I've heard nothing from the religious right. I don't know. Again, this is something you cover this area, so I don't know if it shows up on your radar in terms of any major protests of some of the stuff that we've been talking about today.
It's a losing battle because nobody wants you to tell them you can't watch an R-rated movie with great nudity it's just we're not. I'm sure there's plenty of people that are upset about it. Well, fine. To watch something else, sorry,
Yeah,
I have no sympathy for anyone complaining about nude scenes in movies or television. If you don't like it, turn the channel.
Any shows or films that you're anticipating for 2023, like The Idol on HBO, that are on your radar and you guys are kind of ready?
The other, and I don't think it'll come out in 2023 because these things take so long, but I was a little disappointed in House of the Dragon as far as the nudity compared to Game of Thrones. Like, it was the worst season of Game of Thrones was better than the best season, or the one season of House of the Dragon. So I'd be interested to see if they don't step that up a bit, but we'll see. I don't know. But I don't know if that'll even be out in I doubt it. It'll probably be 2024.
And also, back to what I was saying before about how COVID really accelerated what's happening as far as lack of going to the theaters and stuff. What's the last movie you saw in a movie theater, Skin?
What was that Jordan Peele? Nope.
Yes,
yeah.
Sure.
It was Nope. That's what I saw.
Very cool. All right.
But I mean, in all honesty, since COVID, I've probably seen 2 movies in theaters.
I hear you, man. I saw Black Adam when it initially came out, and I'm looking at the marquee of what else is on. I'm like, all right, maybe there's something else. And I'm not a big horror person.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there is nothing that is playing right now that you know.
I mean, listen, there's nothing better than being in a theater with other people laughing and having fun. And it is a great way to watch a movie. But like you said at the beginning of this show, people's home systems are pretty damn good. And it's not like you have to wait a year for a movie to go from theaters to be available. So plus with all the other, COVID and everything, I could see why people aren't going to the theater as much as they used to. And you know what? It used to be every Friday there'd be 5 great movies out. Now it doesn't seem like it's that way anymore,
Totally agree, man. No, again, you and I grew up with Siskel and Ebert being here in Chicago. And really, I mean, literally every week, like you said, there were at least 4 or 5 movies that, I might want to see that. In fact, I'm through the radio union, they merged with the Screen Actors Guild. So now I'm a SAG member. So in a couple of weeks, I'm going to start getting my screeners, and SAG awards are not only for film, but also for television as well. So I'm waiting for my stack of DVDs to come in the mail and stuff.
Well, good for you. That's a nice perk. Radio guys don't usually get a lot of good perks. I'm glad you got one. So.
How about that, man? Absolutely. Robert says a comment. Watchdog groups really did damage in terms of how they have a final cut, not just in terms of nudity and sexual situations. The latter Friday the 13th movies got butchered because of this. Yeah, but again, that was a different era, man.
Yeah.
I keep telling people, not really so much about nudity per se, but we were having a discussion on my show, a few other nerds, and we were talking about one of the guys like, well, maybe DC's going to take a break on the superhero movies. And I'm like, you're nuts. I'm like, of course not. Those intellectual properties are too valuable.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if not movies, they're going to definitely keep turning out TV.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, Star Wars stopped making movies. I'm like, yeah, but since the rise of Skywalker, we've had nonstop television of Star Wars on Disney Plus. I'm like, it's not one or the other. I'm like, these companies, they all own this stuff, and they want to get it out there any way they can.
It's a great point. It is. It seems that those blockbuster comic book dominate now. You don't get the Titanics of the world anymore. But that's yeah.
Do you are you, any plans? I know a few years ago, and we talked about it. You had kind of various women of Marvel movies and DC movies that over the years had done nude scenes, like Scarlett Johansson and the like, that are in Marvel movies. But
whatever. Yeah.
I don't know if you're gonna have a new list anytime soon with some of them.
Yeah, I'm sure we do. I have a team that crank these out. Like if you search our website and just said Marvel actresses, we definitely have a playlist of all the Marvel actresses nude. If you search DC comic, we'd have that. It's like you name it, we have it.
Well, and again, you're smart with your hashtags. I mean, everything is really like, you throw up a movie or an actor, and there's like a dozen at least of various subjects that pop up and stuff. So,
well, it's funny. I just did, your show Word Balloon. I just searched, just for fun, searched the word balloon, and every nude scene, I don't want to say in the history of movies and television because we might have missed a couple, but you'd be amazed how many nude scenes are on our website where the girl's naked and has a balloon or a balloon's in the scene.
Well, the old strippers, like,
and that goes for anything. Like if you're into like licorice, turns me on. Licorice nudity. Well, if there was a scene with licorice, or if you're in the girls eating while nude, or reading the newspaper nude, we have every scene ever because everything's tagged. Every nude scene, there's like 20 tags.
Yes.
It's all in a database. It's a really cool thing. I don't do it enough, and I should. But if you have a kink and you're into heels, or you're into whatever it is, you like skinny dipping, whatever it is, you could search that and it'll pull up the best of all those scenes. So it's
and not only sex scenes. I remember Tosh.0, that very funny Comedy Central show.
Oh, God.
I remember him having like a fat middle-aged guy with balloons, just popping balloons and stuff. And like you said, whatever your kink is, yes, there's likely viral video waiting for you to find. All right, last question from Sal. And I don't believe there are any. Am I right? Raquel Welch, we've loved her for decades.
She's she's my people ask me, like, name an actress that never did a nude scene that you wish did one, and Raquel Welch is very high on that list. She had a couple really close calls, real close calls, like in The Magic Christian.
Myra Breckenridge.
Breckenridge, right? But it's amazing because she was in these bikinis, and it's like, you'd think in the era of the 60s and the 70s, free love, you'd think that she would have done a nude scene, but just really brief side butt, side breast, that kind of, it's kind of frustrating.
I've seen an early 70s Dick Cavett interview with her, and she's in this very silky kind of full evening gown, but slid up to her hip and, plunging neckline right down to her navel and showing a lot of skin despite still being clothed. So yeah, she, I think, was very smart to exploit her attributes in the most positive way, but also had a line, and she maintained it.
Yeah, like this Hanny Calder, like you could see, like you'd see most of her butt, but not her crack. So it's like not official. It's like So anyway, it's she's definitely one. The other one from modern day, I always wish Christina Hendricks from Mad Men did a nude scene.
Sure. Oh, Brandy Chastain has. I thought
George and Tammy with that.
Right, the George Jones Tammy Wynette miniseries on Showtime. I saw that on your site.
I recommend you go back to 2008, where she did a movie called Jolene. There's much better nudity in that, and that's about 12 years ago or 14 years ago, but it's really great stuff.
And Sal wanted to know very quickly if there were any major stars that are actively trying to squash a previous nude scene that they're embarrassed about now.
I mean, first of all, the actresses don't own the nude scenes. The movie company or the television studio does. Yeah, I mean, good luck. I mean, I'm not the only website. There's thousands of places you could find this stuff. But if you're a famous actress and you've done a nude scene, the genie's out of the bottle, I would say, at this stage of the game.
Understood. Well, Skin, we'll wrap up. You've been great with your time, man, and you always are. And I always love talking to you about what's going on and what's to come.
No,
and it's interesting to take a temperature of what's happening on movies and TV as far as sex scenes go and how far they're willing to go. And again, like we said, ironically, a lot more crank these days than what we're used to.
Well, no, it's fun to be interviewed by you because you're very knowledgeable. If I reference a salami from The White Shadow, you actually know what the hell I'm talking about. So that's very cool.
Jim, who else can I talk to about Barbara Boucher or? Oh, God. I found one on YouTube, and it was the girl who played Judy on Lost in Space, and it was an early 70s movie that she made.
Not Marta Kristen?
Marta Kristen, absolutely.
Yeah, I actually tracked down this movie called Gemini Affair. It's impossible to find, but it's a 70s movie, and she's naked in it. You'll be very happy. You could go.
That might have been the one that I found.
I don't even think it's ever been released on DVD. I think my captures, video, and pics are VHS because I don't think it's ever been.
Sure.
But it came out in after Lost in Space.
Yeah, early 70s. Yeah.
Warning, Will Robinson, there's some good nudity in that. So.
Well, I'll remind everybody, it's MrSkin.com. Again, you can find the top 10 nude scenes of 2022 for free. It's right there on the front page. You can click on the link, but it wouldn't hurt to subscribe to Mr. Skin and keep the lights on for Jim and his team because they deserve the attention. And on Hulu, catch it while it's there still. Skin, A History of Nudity in the Movies.
Yeah, it's a really great documentary. I'm really proud of that thing. We interviewed a lot of celebrities, and there's 100 nude scenes in it. And like I said, it's the #1 documentary over the last 2 years on Hulu. So you can't miss it. It's awesome.
There you go. Jim, as always, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming on. It's always great to talk to you about this stuff. Have a great Christmas. Have a wonderful New Year.
Same to
And,
you.
and yeah, hey man, let's catch up next year, and
I'll-
I'll find some other golden oldies like Barbara Boucher and Marta Kristen.
You're preaching to the choir when it comes to golden oldies, so we're all good.
Do you mind hang out just for a second? I have a quick question for you off the air. Thanks everybody for watching. Tomorrow night, Kelly Thompson, the wonderful Marvel writer, will join us to talk about a brand new independent comic that she's working on. And on Friday, Julie and Shauna Benson, who are killing it on Star Trek, Prodigy, they're going to talk about their Star Trek experience and what they've got coming up TV wise. So that's all this week on Word Balloon Live. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care.